Hi, welcome to this SAP FICO training session. This is an SAP FICO training test based on accounts payable, business transactions. Let's get into it. What are the 10 configuration points for accounts payable business transactions? Enable tax codes to be used when posting invoices and credit memos. Define alternative reconciliation accounts. Configure tolerance limits. Define tax condition types, document types and number ranges for the GRIR clearing process, select the number range number to be used for the document type, define the actual number range for the number range number, configure payment terms, configure payment block reason codes, define payment block reasons for each payment term, and assign payment blocks. What are the main business transactions managed in accounts payable? Incoming invoices / credit memos from vendors, GRIR clearing, corresponding outgoing payments. In SAP S/4HANA, how many ways can you post vendor invoices / credit memos? 2. What is the most common way to post vendor invoices / credit memos? Through materials management. What will vendor invoices reference when they are posted through materials management? A purchase order. When vendor invoices are posted through materials management, what are they integrated with? The purchasing process. When might you need to post a vendor invoice directly into financial accounting? For smaller purchases that do not require approvals, such as stationery supplies. Do vendor invoices manually posted into financial accounting reference a purchase order? No. Where are the costs associated with business transactions and accounts payable posted to? Financial accounting. What amount of customizing is needed in accounts payable to enable the processing of business transactions in accounts payable? Minimal. What must vendor accounts be set up as to enable the processing of business transactions? Business partners. Do the document types that are going to be used for accounts payable need to be defined? Yes. What are the typical standard SAP document types for accounts payable? KR vendor invoices, KG vendor credit memos. After tax codes are configured, what T code are they used in? GB60. When are tax codes used in accounts payable? when posting vendor invoices/credit memos. Is the tax code interface easy for end users to use? Yes. Where are tax codes created, configured, and enabled? Where can they be used? In one place, the same configuration path in GB60. What is the initial and required input when configuring tax codes? A country must be entered. Are there predefined tax codes in the system? No, the screen will initially be blank. How do you add a new tax code while in the configuration activity? Click New Entries, enter new tax codes. What are the options that can be selected from the drop-down list in the transaction column? Relevant for all transactions, financial accounting invoice receipt. Which option in the transaction column limits the tax code to financial accounting document posting only? Financial accounting invoice receipt. What does placing a check in the initial box accomplish? The tax code will be the default for the transaction. What is a reconciliation account and where is it specified? A general ledger account that is posted to automatically with each posting to the vendor account also exists for customers and fixed assets, specified in the business partner master record company code data. What might you need to specify a different general ledger account than the reconciliation account identified in the vendor master record? Let me ask that again. When might you need to specify a different general ledger account than the reconciliation account identified in the vendor master record? For the posting of discounts, guarantees, or payment requests. Why is it necessary to post these various business cases to a different reconciliation account? The flexibility is needed from an accounting point of view. The postings need to be captured in their own specific reconciliation account. What functionality does SAP provide to allow this to happen? Alternative reconciliation accounts. How does the system know to use an alternative reconciliation account? The special general ledger indicator is used. Where is the special general ledger indicator entered? In documents. When the special general ledger indicator is entered in a document, what does it accomplish? It swaps the general ledger reconciliation account entered in the vendor master record for the special general ledger indicator. Before the special general ledger indicator can be used, what must happen? It needs to be set up and configured. When defining alternative reconciliation accounts, what is the first thing you will see? A list of predefined general ledger indicators provided by SAP. What are the predefined standard SAP alternative reconciliation accounts? Value dated bank transfer, discounts, guarantee received, security deposit, payment request. Are you limited to only using the list of predefined general ledger indicators provided by SAP? No, you can create new indicators to meet specific needs. How can you view the settings of the predefined general ledger indicator? Double-click the indicator. After double-clicking the indicator, what are you prompted to do? Enter the chart of accounts. What are the two columns you'll see after entering the chart of accounts? Reconciliation account, special GL account. What account numbers are entered in the reconciliation account column? The account numbers used in the vendor master record. What account numbers are entered in the special GL account column? The account numbers used instead of the reconciliation account numbers. What will happen when you post a document with the special general ledger indicator selected to a vendor reconciliation account? The system will automatically reroute the posting to the alternative reconciliation account. What are most vendor invoices / credit memos posted through? Integration with materials management. When vendor invoices posted through material management, where are the resulting documents posted and how? In financial accounting, automatically based on account determination configuration. Who is responsible for the configuration of materials management vendor invoices / credit memos, also known as logistics invoice verification? Materials management consultants. Where may the responsibility of configuring logistics invoice verification fall to? The SAP FICO consultant. What does the automatic invoice block for payment affect? Financial accounting. What is the automatic invoice block for payment? A business control that blocks vendor invoices that matches certain criteria. When you begin the activity of configuring tolerance limits, what is the first thing you will see? A list of tolerance limits. What level are the tolerance limits set at? Where did they come from? The company code level, the company code the existing company was code was copied from. What does every tolerance limit have? A 2-character tolerance key. How many tolerance keys are there? Over 200. What is each tolerance key for? Different business cases. Are you limited to only using the existing list of tolerance keys? No, you can create new tolerance keys, edit existing tolerance keys, and copy and modify existing tolerance keys. How do you see the settings for a tolerance key? Double-click the tolerance key. What is the purpose of tolerance key BD? Form small differences automatically. To enable the posting of invoices that don't match on the debit and credit side if the difference is not significant, and will post the difference automatically to a small difference account. What can you see in the settings for the tolerance limit? The absolute value of the upper and lower limit, the percentage of the upper and lower limits, the option for the limits to not be checked. What values might you see in the upper limits? There are no restrictions to the values and percentages that can be entered. What does an upper limit of $2 indicate? All invoices that have mismatches between the debit and credit sides of up to $2 will be posted. What happens to the invoices that are outside of these tolerance limits? They will be posted but automatically blocked for payment in financial accounting. How can the block be removed? The situation is resolved or the block is manually removed. Who has the authority to remove the payment block? An authorized user. What kind of taxes are involved with accounts payable? Tax procedures and tax codes. Why is it important for tax codes to be determined automatically in the purchasing processes? So financial documents can receive their proper tax treatment. How are tax codes determined automatically? From purchase order using the condition technique. Are all tax codes determined automatically? They can be entered manually, which overrides the system's tax code determination. How are tax codes determined automatically? from the purchase order using the condition technique. How are condition records created? Based on configured condition tables. What are configured condition tables based on? Parameters from the vendor master record for the most part. What determines the proper tax code for the different business cases? The material master record. Where might the system derive the tax code from? A related document in the following sequence: reference item, contract, request for quotation, info record. What might a purchase order have that is related to taxes? A pricing procedure. What is included in a pricing procedure? A tax condition. What does a tax condition access? Relevant tax condition access records. What do tax condition access records determine? The tax code and tax rate. What is the standard SAP tax condition? MWST, input tax. Who does the configuration of a who does the configuration of a pricing procedure involve? Finance and purchasing. Who is ultimately responsible for configuring the pricing procedure? The finance consultant. What is the first step in configuring taxes for accounts payable? Configure the tax condition records. When defining tax condition types, what is the first screen that is shown? A list of available purchasing condition types. How do you create your own condition type? You can click new entries to create your own or copy an existing condition type and make it start with Y or Z. How do you see the settings of a condition type? Double-click the condition type. Define the following settings within the condition type. Condition class. Determines the usage of the condition type. For conditions, this value is always D, taxes. Calculation type. Specifies the type of calculation and for taxes is normally a percentage. Condition category. Classifies the conditions and for tax conditions should be D, tax. Item condition. should be selected for taxes to ensure that the calculation happens at the item level, which is required for taxes. What does the Records for Access button do? Displays the tax condition records for access that are maintained for the condition type. What do the tax condition access records determine? The tax code and tax rate. Where can you maintain the tax condition access records? T code MEK1. What are the tax condition access records considered to be? Application data. When maintaining the tax condition access records, what is the first thing you need to enter? The condition type, for example, MWST. After you enter the condition type, what does the pop-up window ask for? The characteristics you want to create the record for example, domestic taxes or export taxes. What does the characteristic options available for selection depend on? The configuration of the condition record. After selecting the characteristic you are creating the record for, what do you do in the next screen? Enter the tax condition access records. When defining tax condition access records for export taxes, the source country the goods/services are sent from. When defining the tax condition access records for export taxes, what is entered in the lines below the header? You can have multiple tax condition access records for each destination country. Define the following fields that are displayed when defining the tax condition access records for export taxes. Destination country. This field is the country to which the goods/services are supplied. Tax classification 1. In this field, select the tax classification indicator, which is maintained in the material master record and normally specifies whether this material is taxable at the full rate, taxable at a reduced rate, or not taxable. Valid from and valid to. In this field, specify the validity period of the tax code. Tax rates are often dynamic and change from time to time, so in this way you have the flexibility to add more condition records when tax rates change. Tax code. In this field, specify the tax code that should be automatically assigned when the criteria in the condition record are met. What will happen to the purchasing documents that match these condition criteria? They will receive the assigned tax codes automatically. Because purchasing documents that match this condition criteria will automatically receive the tax codes assigned to the condition criteria, where will the tax code flow into? The financial documents, the tax general ledger accounts configured in the tax codes. When posting material management based inventory, when posting materials management based vendor invoices, what clearing account is used? The GRIR clearing account. What should the GRIR balance be at the end of the purchasing process? Zero, because the invoice receipt and the goods receipt match. How likely is it that there will be differences between the GR and IR? Very likely. What are some reasons there may be a difference between the goods receipt and the invoice receipt? The goods receipt received, but the invoice receipt is not valid. Goods receipt received, invoice receipt is received, but it is less than the expected amount. Where is the GRIR clearing process executed? T code MR11. What is MR11 designed to show? The goods receipts that are not yet fully invoiced, the invoice receipts that are not yet fully received. What do these business scenarios have in common? One, vendor invoice has not been received yet. Two, goods receipt has not been received yet. They both result in us not having a vendor invoice receipt in hand. Are these business scenarios common? Yes. What is the GRIR process designed to do? Clear old items that probably won't be completed. What does what configuration does MR11 use? Tolerances that can block the outgoing payment if exceeded. What is the first screen you will see when setting up document types for the GRIR clearing process? The document type / number range navigation screen. After clicking document types, what screen will you see? A screen listing various T codes used in the invoice verification process. How do you access the underlying settings for the listed T codes? Double click the T code, for example, MR11 GRIR maintenance. What entry can you make to apply to that T code? The default document type to be used with that T code. What is the default document type to be used with T code MR11? KP, account maintenance. Do you define a number range number to be used with the document type? Yes. What is the number range object for the actual number range for document type? RE_BELEG. What do you click to maintain the actual number ranges? The Edit Intervals button. What does the from number and to number determine? The actual document number of the documents produced for this document type. Should number ranges be transported from one client to another? No, they should be maintained in each client. What is a major transaction in accounts payable? Payments. What are posted invoices posted as regardless of their source? Open items that await payments. What topics for payments apply to accounts payable specifically? Terms of payments, payment block. What do the conditions of payments depend on? The payment terms. What is a payment term? A configuration object that is part of the vendor line item. What do payment terms determine? When payments are due and if discounts are applicable. What does it mean for a payment term to be payable immediately, due net? No grace period exists and the whole amount should be paid now without any discounts. What is an example of a payment term with a grace period and a discount paid early? Payment due in 30 days, but if paid within 14 days, a 2% discount applies. What does SAP provide regarding payment terms? Many standard payment terms that cover many payment conditions that occur in business. If new payment terms are created, how should they be named? Beginning with Y or Z so they are not deleted during updates or upgrades. The following questions are based on this business scenario. Create a new payment term for a payment to a vendor within 14 days for a 4% discount or within 45 days due net. What would be your first step in creating this payment term? Find a similar standard payment term to copy from. Okay. You found payment term 0002 that is a close match. How do you copy it? Select the checkbox next to it, then click Copy As. Define the following fields found in the payment terms settings. Payment terms. Specify the new payment term code, in this case Z001. Sales text. Enter a meaningful description for the payment term. Account type. Determines for which type of accounts the payment term is valid, customer, vendors, or both. Payment terms are objects used both in accounts payable and accounts receivable, but in this field, you can restrict its use if not needed in the other application. Baseline date calculation. The baseline date is the date from which the calculation of the payment term starts. Normally, the baseline date is determined from the open item itself. However, in this field, you can specify a different determination to start from a fixed date and/or to add additional months to the baseline date. Payment block / payment method default. The payment of each open item also depends on the payment method, which we will discuss in future training sessions. Usually, the payment method is derived from the business partner master record, but in this field, you can specify a default based on the payment term. Also, you can specify a default payment block indicator to block invoices from payment. Default for baseline dates. In this section, you can configure how the system should determine the baseline date, which could be based on the document date, the posting date, or the entry date of the document. Payment terms. In this section, you will configure the actual rules for the payment terms. In the number of days column, specify the valid days and in the percentage column, specify the valid percentage. In our example, we set a discount of 4% for payments received within 14 days and no percentage for 45 days. In other words, no discount is offered when 14 days have passed and the invoice must be paid in full within 45 days. Using the fixed day and additional months columns, you can also specify the due date on a particular day and add additional months. After saving these entries, can the new payment term be used? Yes. What is a payment block? A payment cannot be made for an open item because it exceeds a tolerance limit. What invoices are posted? When invoices are posted, what is their default status? Open for payment. What are reasons you might want to block a vendor invoice from being paid? If a mismatch exists between GR and IR when you believe you have received duplicate invoices. What is the first thing you see when you go to configure payment block reason codes? A list of available payment block reasons. Define the following fields in the payment block reason codes configuration activity. Block indicator. This field is the block code which is entered in the document line item. This code could be entered manually or automatically. For example, block A is commonly used manually in financial accounting invoices, whereas block R is the automatic block set up to address mismatches between GRs and IRs. Description. In this field, enter a meaningful description for the blocking reason. Change in payment proposal. Selecting this checkbox allows the block to be manually removed in the payment proposal. The payment proposal is the first step in running the automatic payment program. Enabling this option gives you the flexibility to make payments during the payment program process, albeit manually. Manual payment block. Selecting this option prevents the clearing of items with manual payments. Not changeable. Selecting this option prevents the manual removal of the blocking reason. In other words, this block can only be removed as part of a workflow approval process. What happens when a line item is posted that matches the payment terms defined in a payment block? It will be blocked for payment. With vendor invoice management, how are invoices processed? They are scanned and automatically posted in SAP S/4HANA. What does VIM use to transfer written information into digital information? Optical character recognition. What usually occurs in the functionality between SAP and VIM for the document processed by VIM to be posted and ready for payment? A workflow approval process. What are three benefits of VIM applications? They reduce manual work, they reduced costs, they improve control processes within accounts payable. When VIM is implemented, where will most invoices be posted through? VIM. How many solutions exist for VIM? Many. What are commonly used vendor invoice management systems? OpenText, ReadSoft, IXOS. What VIM solution is integrated the most with SAP solutions? OpenText. What are important considerations to make when considering a VIM solution? The invoice is received through email, faxed, or paper. The invoice is scanned. The invoice is transferred to an archive server and archived. The document is sent to SAP S/4HANA Vendor Invoice Management Application, where it is stored and identified by a designated document processing number. The Vendor Invoice Management Application extracts data such as a vendor number, currency, document date, amount, and so on from the document. The extracted data is validated and allocated to posting fields in SAP S/4HANA. The approval process is performed through a workflow. If an exception exists, the invoice is posted automatically through regular invoice posting transaction. That concludes this test. Thank you for your time.